welcome to another episode of Life in Colts Neck. My name is Heba Shaben. I'm your local real estate expert in Colts Neck and the sponsor of a local website called parkbench.com/Colts Neck. And part of my business and part of my job to find you the best to answer questions for you. So if you want to come and say, Heba, I want to buy a house, I say, yes. Can you show me a house? I say, definitely. How many houses I can see? A lot of houses. But first, you're going to have to talk to David. David is the first step to get you this house. You have to apply for a mortgage and to see what you can do so you can get your house as fast as you can. And David will help you because he is the sales director at FM Loans and Mortgages. He will give you 5-star service. As all of my team in Exit Realty, we all work as a team, and this is the first one you can see to give you the 5-star service you deserve. Let's go meet David.
So my name is David Mizrahi. I'm the Director of Sales for FM Home Loans. I'm also a loan officer for the company. FM Home Loans is a mortgage bank. We're not a conventional bank that has deposits. We're checking and savings and mutual funds. All we specialize is with mortgages. For us, that's why we're partnered up with a lot of different real estate offices, because the most important part of a process is making sure that the client understands everything up front. They know what they're getting up front, they're comfortable, and it's affordable for them. So our number one objective and what we specialize is just getting getting clients a mortgage. So for us, we do everything under one roof. We process in-house, we underwrite in-house, we originate in-house, and we have all the programs that are out there for a client, because again, what we do is we specialize in just mortgages. So for us, we try to be everything to everyone that's looking to purchase a home. Company's been around for about 30 years, and I've been doing this since 2001, so about 18 years, pretty much half my life. It's what I know best. And yeah, so for us, it's really just we're a residential commercial mortgage lender, and we're able to close pretty quickly. We do everything in-house. So one of our strong points is we're able to provide the same type of rates as the bigger banks, but really give the service of a smaller bank. Because a lot of times the seller, 98% of the time, the seller is selling a home to purchase another home. So for us, the number one objective is to get a commitment out for you and close efficiently and quickly, because it'll give you a bigger leg to stand on for the seller, knowing that you're working with a lender that can close in a time frame that works with them, because they need the money from the sale of the home to purchase a new home. And when we're able to give them that comfort, it then makes you stand out from your competition in regards to other buyers that are competing for the same home. And for us, that's important because that will help you get the home that you want and you love without having to go up in price, and which is important for us because that will save you money in the future. I do a lot of speaking events. I go to the NYPD and I always tell them, you guys are the NYPD, I'm the CIA. But in my world, the CIA stands for credit, income, and assets. Those are the three things you need to qualify for a mortgage. So if your credit scores are 740, then you'll qualify for a better rate than someone that has a 640 credit score. And if you're putting down 5%, sometimes you'll qualify, or 20%, it'll be a different interest rate, but the person putting down 20 will have a couple advantages. There are many different programs. In New Jersey, you have grants, which helps sometimes purchase a home depending on the income qualifications and the price of the home, and their assets of how much the client is worth. And also so you have the FHA programs with 3.5% down payment, and you also have conventional programs with as low as 3% down payment. And that really helps because you're able to put down with these programs a very low down payment and still get a fixed rate for 30 years, which is extremely competitive, and it works out really well for the client. We actually have programs that compete with hard money lenders, but with a more aggressive interest rate. There's a program called non-QM, which stands for non-qualified mortgage, And what this program is about is it helps a client that doesn't qualify for a conventional mortgage qualify for a different type of mortgage, but without going the Fannie, Freddie, or FHA routes. With regards to investors, a lot of time investors don't show that much money on the books with their income. So, and a lot of times people that are self-employed don't put a lot of money on the books. So we have a program like the DSCR, which stands for Debt Service Coverage Ratio, where we'll actually just look at the rent roll of the property, and as long as it covers the mortgage expenses with the tax and insurance, then we have a program for you, as long as it's with a 20% down payment only. Now, generally, people will be going with that type of program to a hard money lender. Hard money lenders, as you know, interest rates are about 10 to 12%. The points are generally 2 to 4 points. With these programs that we offer, the interest rates could be as low as mid-5s to 6s, depending on the credit score and down payment. And generally, it's only about 1 point. Sometimes it's less than that. So, but again, it all depends on the credit, the income, or depending on the rent roll in that situation, and then the assets, which is the A. What I always tell everyone is to start with the mortgage process is extremely important, because that is really what shows you what you could afford and what's comfortable for you to pay every single month. So what I always tell my clients is, come in right away, or we'll come to you, we'll look over your tax returns, W-2s and pay stubs, we'll look over your assets, we'll look over the credit, we'll sometimes give you pointers, because if you're looking for a home and we run your credit, and let's just say the credit scores are fair or good and you qualify for a mortgage, but we're able to give you a couple of pointers that could help bring up your credit score. That will actually, in the future, help bring down, get you a better interest rate with a mortgage, which will help you save over the 30-year term on the mortgage, which would help you out. Also, the documents you would need, like I said, is tax returns, W-2s, pay stubs, 2 forms of ID, and bank statements, or possibly a retirement account. We would look at all those documents. We actually start processing a loan up front even before you find a home. The reason why we do that is because when you find the home, the most important part of the process is actually negotiating for the home. So if everyone knows a pre-approval is good to have, but it doesn't really mean much in the industry. So what I try to do is, when you're actually negotiating on a home, if we already have the documents beforehand and we already filled out an application in 1003, the only thing that changes when you're looking at a new property is there's 3 things: is the purchase price, the address, and the taxes. So we'll just simply open up your file, update those 3 things, and actually submit your file over to a DU, or an LP, which is the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA automated approval engine. And we can take that and actually give an actual approval to the listing agent. And now that will help really separate you from your competition, the other buyers, and help you get a better chance of getting an approved offer on the house that you want and at the price that you want to get it for. The process is generally, once you find a home, about 30 days. Depending on you, it could be a little bit shorter, it could be longer, and the seller, which is another strong point of working with a mortgage bank like us, because a lot of the bigger banks generally take 60, 90, 120 days to close. We're able to provide the same type of rates and fees, but still give you that type of service. And all we always say is, once the deal closes, hopefully the relationship will last. And our goal is to hopefully stay with you forever, and God willing, you'll tell your friends and family and loved ones and coworkers all about us and about how your experience was, and God willing, we'll stay in the family. I always tell them, let's review your income. We look at their tax returns and W-2s and pay stubs. But what I generally focus on is affordability, more than just what they are pre-approved, because I have a client that just came to my office yesterday, and he came in with a pre-approval from another mortgage bank for $500,000. And once going over everything with him, I noticed that where he wanted to be in regards to a monthly payment and a budget, he wanted to be more in the $2,500 range. Now, automatically with a $500,000 home with 3.5% down payment, the mortgage payment was going to be in the high 2s. So for me, even though he is pre-approved for a home for $500,000, it's not that comfortable for him and affordable for him. So what we ended up doing was giving him a different game plan with a different purchase price, so that it was something that he could manage. Because I'm not just looking to get someone into a mortgage, I'm looking to get them into the right home and the right type of mortgage payment so that it's affordable for them. Because that's, comfortability and quality of life is the most important thing to me. In today's market right now, it depends on the area, to be honest with you. It is kind of a seller's market in regards to, because there isn't so much inventory on the market, but we are coming into the fall winter seasons where there are less buyers. And I always tell my clients, sometimes in the fall and the winter, it's actually the best time to look for a home because there's less competition, which hopefully gets you a house at a better price, because sometimes in the spring and summer where there's more buyers out there, that could drive up the price a little bit more depending on the the market for the area and the time. So in regards to the process, I always tell my clients to start it right away, because once you put the entire file in the system and you review the tax returns and W-2s and pay stubs and bank statements and break everything down, once you see a property in the price range where you're comfortable with, there's only 3 things that ever change. And that's the purchase price, the address, and the taxes. So if you're able to put a file together right away, then when the time comes, which to me is the most important time in regards to the negotiating for the house, when that time comes, we will be able to strategically submit an offer. And instead of putting in with a pre-approval, which, it is important to have, but it's really not the most important thing, and it's really doesn't mean as much in the industry, but it's good to have to look at a property. But my way of doing business is, instead of putting in it with a pre-approval, is to submit an offer with an actual approval. So if we have all the documents up front, we're able to not only explain where you qualify, what the payments will be, and how everything looks up front, but also when the seller is looking at all their offers, we're able to actually put in an offer with an actual approval, which will help your offer stand out with all the other offers. Because in today's market, there's so many buyers on the market and there's not that many homes. So it's a very competitive market for our buyers. So what I try to do is separate them from their competition, and that's by giving an actual approval, which really helps them out. Well, I'll never forget where I had a client, it must have been 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and his name was Zamari. I won't say his last name, but he was denied by 3 lenders. He had a divorce, it was a bad situation, and he actually was getting remarried to his ex-wife, but he had to move from California to New York, and it was very tough because of a million different situations. And I remember I met him, he called me up and he was pretty much in tears, and I felt so terrible for him. And I met him in a warehouse in downtown Brooklyn, and I was petrified because it was a very scary, dark, cold, wet warehouse. And then all of a sudden I said his name a couple of times and he popped out of nowhere. And I got scared, to be honest with you. But then I met the friendliest, nicest, kindest person in the world, and I ended up sitting down with him and figuring out how to get the mortgage. Ended up closing him within about 3 weeks of meeting him. Oh. And we still speak to this day. I've done a mortgage for his daughter that moved to New York, his son that was living in New York at the time. Now he bought a property in New York, and it was great. So I'll never forget him. He, as he says, I'm part of the family. And he honestly makes me feel like part of the family. And that was, for me, the roof over your head is the number one thing. And like when he told his ex-wife, well, his wife now, that when he moves to New York, he's going to make sure to have one for the family. And that was his only and number one goal, and that's what he worked for. So I was really happy to be a part of it, and it was a great day for him. Well, I think it's extremely important because the people in the community know the community better than anyone. So if you're a first-time home buyer, you're going to have many questions. And the most important thing is to be educated. And if you're working with people that are familiar with the community and familiar with the area, and familiar with the school districts and all the questions that most people want to know about, I think that's great. And I think they'll be able to point you in the right direction. And then if you do move in the area, they'll be able to tell you about all the great spots, all the great restaurants, all the great places to go and bring the children. And it should be a great experience for you when you're buying a home, and that's our number one goal. Thank you very much.
Thanks, bye. Thank you for watching. Bye.